But let's just spend a few minutes talking about the hideous cover where...
Pastel colors in the 80s? What are you, stupid?
Were they trying to trick people into thinking they were like...
We joined the new wave movement.
I think, if I'm being nice, I think the Rolling Stones were always trying to stay on the edge of what was cool. Oh, out comes the Chilada. He's not going to make any sense from here on out. You're welcome, folks.
Why is Bud Light Chilada 20 cents more expensive? You would think this would be Modelo would be more expensive.
Sponsored by Modelo because it's more delicious.
Oh, and
but less expensive.
The Blue Odyssey has been missing for a while. I know the audience is getting worried.
Ziggy's worried.
Our 3 listeners.
He hates it when he does that.
You are getting a full-on, what the f*** did you just do?
You know what? That was really hilarious that when he did it the first time, Ziggy got so screwed up, he ran right into it. I hate you.
Is there anything that pisses off a dog more than the smell that you smell ecosystem?
That is why they think the vacuum cleaner.
Is there anything anybody knows about this album?
Nope. Not a chance. Shall I grab my phone and look up the...
I don't know if we...
Chris, tell us some factoids about Dirty Work from the Rolling Stones.
I don't know if I was recording when he said it,
took their name from that wonderful blues song, I'm a Rolling Stone. And
well, it doesn't say what
Willie
year
Dixon wrote it.
So first, let's find out what year it is. I'm guessing it's 86.
What?
Holy shit, I was right.
That was 86?
And I guess that just based purely on what their stupid outfit.
Don't swear in front of my puppy. He's only 4.
So
he really is impressionable.
I don't know if I was recording when we
made a decision.
Oh. If I was recording these things.
No, when we did the first time we did Rolling Stones.
Right. Our first was their Satanic Majesty's Request.
We did end up liking it, right? I mean, you liked it, but I ended up liking it better after listening to it as an album.
No, so, you made me hate it.
Oh, I was trying to read my history. I make him hate everything by the end.
It was
I hate everything. You have to hate it too.
It was those early episodes where you thought the goal of the podcast was to make me hate whatever I picked by the end.
I was pretty good at that. You have to admit, I was pretty good at that.
So what do you know about Dirty Works? You're the resident Rolling Stones fan.
It was the 80s. They were trying to get hits. They were trying to be relevant still. They're old as by this point.
I guess we should talk about where was the hard cutoff point for the Rolling Stones? For me, it was Waiting for a Friend. I think that was the last good thing.
You know what I'm thinking? They're trying to figure out where they're relevant anymore because you got these hair metal bands, and then you've got these pop bands, and then you got these like the beginning of the sad goth bands. I think they're called.
But there's also these yellow pants and Mick Jagger's crotch. Because holy cow, was on.
He really likes to show you his crotch.
Okay, turn on. Yeah,
big yellow crotch.
Okay, Keith Richards was still alive. He is the Crypt Keeper, and he is 1,050 years old. At that time, it's still in the 900s, I believe, and playing guitar for the devil. Mick Jagger was the sign of Christ that is supposed to keep him in line, and well, he does like his crotch shots. So, does Jesus like crotch shots? That's really the...
Excuse me, Jesus, do you know what crotch shot?
English crotch shots. Because he has his bulbous penises.
This is their 18th studio album.
Yeah. That's a lot of albums. That really means you're so old.
Well, getting back to 80s.
And it's before Steel Wheels, which is a great album, I think, which we should do sometime. Just because I think half of the album is just genius and half of it's filler. But that's a lot of albums, so that's not big deal.
The producers of this album were Steve Lillywhite, as in Lillywhite, I don't know, white bread guy?
We know.
And the Glimmer Twins. There are producers in this world called the Glimmer Twins.
There are people in the world called the Glimmer Twins?
Yes.
Oh,
we can Google them as well.
I don't want to Google Glimmer Twins.
I'm not going to, but
what?
I'm pretty sure I can think about it later.
Glitter will come out of the ball hole.
There's a lot of glimmer.
Okay.
Not glitter, glimmer.
Glamour.
So we should talk. Become a catchphrase of the podcast. So we should talk about. So this is 86. It's like 5 years later.
You were born.
No. 5 years later was Voodoo You. No. What was the one with Start Me Up? That was Face Tattoo You.
You're after that. This is 86. The
I know.
next one is in 89. That one is
I'm
Steel
saying,
Wheels.
But which one's Tattoo You? When did that come out?
That's before. That's 83.
Oh, that's before this? I thought that was 91 or something.
No. This is where they're trying to find a new sound. And Steel Wheels was when they gave up and went back to the blues rock thing that they always did.
Alright, I need a discography list here because I'm really confused.
How are you confused? Just explain it to me.
I mean, I just need to see it because they get really muddled from like 77.
He was hanging out with
Onwards.
David Bowie. David Bowie got a bunch of pop hits, and Mick Jagger fucking hates it when somebody is more popular than him.
He
can't
just released
stand
his first solo album called She's the Boss in 85.
Oh, that's a shitty one. Yeah, I listened to that a couple of times. He's had a few solo albums.
This is why we do research for this book.
Mick Jagger needs somebody who's telling him he's being a wanker.
Well, for a band that's been around as long as they have, they don't really have that many studio albums.
Right.
Okay, so...
Well, you could wait.
Oh,
you could
right.
also go with The who has 900 studio albums, and yet none of them have anything new on them. They just keep doing the same over and over again and putting it in new packages.
That is so weird. Why was I thinking that Tattoo You is like 1990? Oh,
what?
Yeah, so whatever.
Oh, so it also says that.
No, it was the beginning of, it was like 80, what was it, 83?
Which one had Waiting for... Oh, yeah, this one. Yeah. So, Tattoo You was their last hurrah, because Hang Fire is one of my favorites. Waiting for a Friend is Don't Laugh, one of my favorites. Start Me Up is...
I love that album. What are you talking about?
Start Me Up is a quality Rolling Stone song.
I am a Rolling Stones fan.
You ask any average Joe, they're gonna be like, "Start me up." Probably, yeah. Like somebody barely knows anything about the Stones, gonna get "Start Me Up," and they'll say the Woohoo song. Like,
If you'd like to know what went wrong with this album, I can tell you.
I love Start Me Up.
Mick Jagger was working in his solo career and not focusing on this. He was hardly showing up any of the recording sessions.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
And when they go to Live Aid, Mick Jagger did a solo set while the other bandmates played backup for Bob Dylan instead of playing.
You're making me very anxious.
I want to. Here's the thing, Chris. Look up. Did that guy Paul Rogers have anything to do with Dirty Work? Paul Rogers.
Guy from the Packers?
He's a black guy with dreads. He was really a big producer, like in the late 80s. I thought he had something to do with this album.
What's his favorite quarterback?
No. That's Aaron Rodgers, and she hates Aaron Rodgers.
Can we get back to analyzing where they... what was it?
Why, you're going to cut all this out anyway.
What would you consider the end of classic Rolling Stones? For me, it would be Some Girls. Like, Emotional Rescue is a fine album. Tattoo You. So, Emotional Rescue and Tattoo You are good, but they're not, like, on the level of... Because this is still like classic.
I kind of
Stones.
still like Undercover, but it's only about half of it. Undercover was still pretty good.
Derp, because I always confuse Voodoo Lounge with Tattoo You for some reason. I think it's just because there's double O's in both of them. Alright, let's get to this album. So, going back to our first premise real quick, is we're talking about them trying to find relevance. Because I think they found they've never really changed their sound that much, other than the Beatles imitation and like early Stones, like 60s pop versus the kind of balls out honky tonk.
When the 80s came around, can I just say, when the 80s came around, I think there was an identity crisis. You know what I mean? With we did blues rock and we got in the top 40, no problem. And now that's just not happening. What do we have to do to stay relevant? Because they wanted to perform before people. They didn't want to be any, Mick Jagger didn't want to play to grandparents. He still
just wants to play.
He wants to be relevant. And I think that's very important to how dirty work exists. You know what I mean? I want to be relevant. And in the mid-'80s, that's just kind of if you want to be relevant, either come up with something completely new or join the bandwagon of neon and
So did you really change their sound much, or just their visual cues?
I think they changed their sound a lot.
I've never heard this album, so I don't know. But
let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. I haven't listened to it in a long time.
Last thing to say real quick. My thesis is it doesn't.
Please say that 12 more times.
My
okay, in 80 and 81 there were still hits on those albums, but it doesn't really matter. It was still, the blues still worked as long as it was a catchy enough song. It was still acceptable. But I think by 86, synth pop, it had gotten so saccharine that the blues were just not going to fly at that point. So technically, if the song was good enough, it still could have been a hit, but I think they got sucked into the vacuum of the blues aren't going to work anymore. So I kind of think of Emotional Rescue and Tattoo You as being kind of anomalies of still mostly blues oriented that had hits that were hit albums. So they're kind of anomalies. All right, let's get I find this fascinating because I don't really understand the Rolling Stones. I like them, but also don't really care that much. Here's one hit to the body.
This is one of the hits.
Can we talk about the album cover again? It is truly horrific.
It's amazing.
It looks like they're trying to recreate the Genesis Abacab cover with just their bodies.
Well, see, I've had a shirt that basically looks like this album cover.
This is what everybody did. This is what...
They just did a whole color blocking thing. And
Remember?
the only thing that's different is Mick Jagger pants and the couch.
Remember?
Hate it already.
It was all neon colors. It was all neon shoes. Girls had to have neon shoes. And you had to have a skirt that was a different neon color. Oh my god, if you wore the same neon color.
Yeah,
Unless you were a trendsetter, you're an idiot.
You know what I think it is? I think 82 was a very hard cutoff where you could still do kind of minimal and pull off genres that maybe were kind of going out of fashion because the production was still fairly stripped down. So I could instantly tell on this, it's that bloated mid-80s production that's instantly dated, where you can tell they're some coked out producer was I'm gonna make you all relevant. Here, I'm gonna twist up every fucking knob.
Well, yeah, the way it's produced is already... Is it weird? There's kind of a mono sound to it. There's not a lot of depth or...
Everything is too deep. No, it's the problem of everything in 1986. Most everything in 1986. Way too much reverb on everything. Everything is just thrown out deep into the peripheries. Where it works if you're Def Leppard and you're simulating a arena, but this music is like too inherently.
This is a year before Def Leppard, but okay. If you're talking about that Animalized, whatever it's called.
But they still
ain't enough of that.
But they had Pyromania. That was before that, right?
But you hear this, like,
you
still hear the blues of this song. Like, they're still trying to be the Rolling Stones. Like, especially Keith Richards. And, the other guitar player. Ron Wood.
I wonder if Reggie Watts, that's not his name, but that's what I was calling the drummer.
Oh, Charlie Sexton?
I wonder if he's ever fallen asleep while playing the drums.
Charlie Watson? I don't know. I've had a couple of drinks. I think his name is...
This is the quintessential
Charlie
Rolling
Brown.
Stones drum beat.
Straight to the heart. This is a good. This is a good song to clean your bathroom too. I know that.
I'm sorry, this is annoying the shit out of me. Like the guitars are so far out in the peripheries.
Wait, this is what counts for a. This is the guitar solo basically.
Like you're supposed to be able to feel it, and you're like, oh, is someone playing the guitars out there somewhere? Excuse me. It just sounds like Keith and the guy who looks like Uncle Dave. I can never remember his name. It's like maybe that's what Mick wanted, was make sure they sound like they're way off stage.
The people who are really doing the work, get them off the stage.
You got to make room for me.
My first solo.
It's the Holy Trinity. Me, my balls, and my ego.
I would agree. I kind of like the one-hit song because I like the Rolling Stones, and they came out with an album right when I liked them. So I kind of liked this for a while until...
As an 80s rock song goes, this is perfectly legit. It's a decent song.
That's why I was trying to figure out who produced it. I feel like they just got the producers. That's why I just felt like they just bought the producers that made all the hits in the 80s. That's what I was trying to get you to find out.
And
who produced this?
Well, you saw them, right? Did they play any of the songs from this? There's Fight Remastered. I'm just going to call every song whatever it is. In Remaster 2009.
2009 is when everybody remastered everything from the master tapes. I have a bunch of Motley Crue and Queen albums
Except
that were
for ZZ
remastered.
Top, because theirs all apparently burned in some fire.
I like listening to my old ZZ Top albums that were recorded right off of the vinyl.
It's the same
song?
It's
the same intensity and everything. Like, this is basically the same song.
Well, you know what the drummer for Rush, what's his name? Neil Peart. He always said, I guess I could keep doing this until I was 80 years old if I was Charlie Watts.
Ooh, that's a sick burn. Ouch.
But I have arthritis and I have to stop.
And then Charlie Watts is like, I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the sounds of my royalty checks.
Yes, I can't hear your Canadian ass over the sound of cha-ching. All I gotta do is show up and hit this drum.
If you want to get into that conversation, like Charlie Watts and the guy from Pink Floyd, who I can't remember.
You sound as bad as me now. And the guy I can't remember.
Roger Waters, Dave Gilmour.
And those other two guys.
Roger Moore and who?
And the other guy from the 60s that went crazy before they made money.
Sid Barrett.
Yeah. All the acid guys always like Sid Barrett.
Nick Mason.
He has so many stories about him, like he went crazy or something. Blah, blah, blah.
Nick Mason was like Ringo, where he was perfect for the band, but I don't think he's really ever in conversations
To bring it back into the Stones,
greatness.
one of the things that's funny about the Stones, I think, is how the people who really are the backbone of the Stones keep leaving from like 69 through finally they just start just hiring people to play those parts. They just give up. It's like,
Can't stop eating M&Ms. We're 8 minutes in and there hasn't been any variation at all.
I'm sure the next song.
That's what everybody loved.
Alright, I gotta save you.
Remember when we did George Michael?
We're pausing for
That
2
was
seconds.
completely
Hold your breath.
different. Guns N' Roses came out a year later.
There's the Harlem Shuffle.
The other hit from this album.
Harlem Shuffle?
Ooh, the Harlem Shuffle. But anyway, I just wanted to point out.
There we go, different drumming.
I just wanted to point out, things started getting interesting towards the end of the 80s. And there was that weird, we don't know where to go with music until Nirvana came out with the grunge sound.
Chocolate and tomato.
People get all pissy about it, but I think it went exactly the way it was supposed to.
But all they did was add depression on top of late
No,
60s music.
no. They went back to the basics. We gotta get back to the basics.
Those are some good ass cashews.
Right?
And I guess you should just say, at the end of the f***ing day, like hits aside, that's a sort of a different category.
Here's the stupid. We're 3 songs in and we're 2 hits in. That's how hungry people were for anything with any kind of anything.
I think just the quality of the work speaks for itself over time. The production is god-awful, and it's so run-of-the-mill.
Yes, I'm sure this was much better live. It
What's
wouldn't
funny
sound like
is
everybody was so
they probably never played any of this live, really. They just put an album up and then went out to support it and maybe played one song.
Probably these two. Here.
Ooh, I want to make a movie about...
I believe they started out their concerts with One Hit to the Body. And this was in there somewhere. But this is like a remake.
I want to make a movie where there's a world where Dirty Work was the only Rolling Stones album. And I'm the only one who remembers it.
Then it would be like that Bittersweet Symphony paint band.
Oh man, I don't want to get into that, but that's like one of the most convoluted stories of like plagiarism and royalties. There's no reason why the Rolling Stones should have gotten any money from that song at all. It was like money laundering via music, basically.
Yeah, but they just very recently said they gave up all their royalties to that song.
That's good.
What song?
Bittersweet Symphony.
It's
What was the band called?
The band The Verve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that
They
called?
sampled an orchestral.
Oh, really?
There's some guy in the '60s that did an orchestral album of Rolling Stone songs. They're just like pop music in the '60s. So it's his version of The Last Time by the Rolling Stones. And it sounds nothing at all like the Rolling Stones version of their song. In The Verve, like 30
So
years
it's a
later.
sample of a cover.
They use the symphonic riff in it. So like the thing they're covering sounds nothing like the Rolling Stones.
Oh, you
And
want to
it
hear
doubly
generic?
sounds nothing
Listen to
like-
this song.
I can't hear anything he's saying.
Yeah, because it's generic. He doesn't want you to know.
Generic rock, generic cock.
But anyway, I thought it was interesting that they just said, "Oh, you know what? We're going to let you have it." And I really wish they would all do that, because that was that whole Beastie Boys thing, where the Beastie Boys sampled so much that all the old bands said, "Hey, f*** you," and started suing people for sampling their music. And I'm like,
Okay.
Everybody's been getting their music sampled throughout history. You have to build on the past.
Yeah, I'm glad we did this. I suddenly have a lot of thoughts. This sounds like a band panicking to find relevance, but instead of making good music, because there were bands that, like, sonically or stylistically were not relevant, but still managed through sheer quality make something relevant, like Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Right. This
But
album
this-
is following and not leading.
This sounds like a desperate attempt at relevance.
Yeah.
Where
Actually,
just
I
like a
think
thick layer of glaze over just like a panicky kind of, I don't know, let's just make
I
the
think
song
they
really fast.
they redid this song a couple of times. Like this style of song.
What's this one called?
Hold back.
Okay.
But I think they've done it a couple of times because I recognize the signature of the beats and the rhythms and everything. And it's just like,
Oh God, I'm broken. We've done 2 in a row that have just been flatline albums, like between this and that Sammy Hagar album.
No, I like this better than the Sammy Hagar album.
I'm telling you,
Right,
I
because you
think-
can't hear.
I think Mick Jagger
There's no
kept
really
doing
stupid
certain
lyrics.
songs over
Yeah.
and over again until they worked. The problem is he's rich, so he gets to keep producing them.
They spent
And
2 months recording and then took a break. They weren't even done.
It sounds like they're recording in a hangar. Like, what is the f***ing point? You can't hear any one element. It's just like,
I
wow,
think-
this is great. Like, picture yourself in this sonic landscape. It sounds like a hangar. Like, somebody's amp is over there, somebody's amp is over there. Like,
They're as far away
the
from each other
drums
as
are
possible.
outside, and he's in some. Mick Jagger's singing from some room, and like you're in the middle of
Glimmer
the
Twins
mixing
really
console.
just
Like,
wanted to illustrate how fractured the band was by
Who the-
making it sound like they're super far away.
did you look up who the Glimmer Twins are?
No, you guys told me you didn't want to know.
Oh, all right, Glimmer Twins. I hate this album.
you said you were going to hate it.
I know.
All right, I
But
got the
You were nice enough to tell the audience before you started, I hate this album.
For
I'm
shit's
gonna
sake,
hate this
the
album.
Glimmer Twins are Jagger and Richard.
I quit. I'm taking these with me.
You're a liar! You're just a liar!
They gave themselves that nickname after a vacation cruise they took to Brazil in 1968.
Quit. I'm done with the podcast forever.
You win, you beat me. You know what I like? Is how this comes through in stereo on my headphones no matter what.
Apparently, people on the cruise ship kept asking them who they were, and when they refused to reveal their identities, a woman reportedly just kept asking, "Just give us a glimmer." Like, give us a hint.
English people are
Give us a
stupid.
glimmer to it.
Well, they were. They're much better now.
You know what we should call ourselves?
The Glimmer Twins.
What is
The
it?
Glimmer Twins.
Wait. Oh,
This is reggae.
Is this
This is their precursor to the Glimmer Twins producing that Peter Tosh album.
if you know the time, this makes a lot of sense. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
If you know the
Audio
time.
out?
No, English people were trying to do reggae all over the place.
okay?
It
What's
was
his name?
Terrible.
What's his name from the English beat has to be involved with this.
No, I was thinking of the Clash. How everything is just kind of slightly reggae, and then some things are very reggae. People love that.
What's this one called?
Oh, too rude.
Who's even singing?
My first thought was Dave Wakeling from the English beat, but I don't know. I don't really care who.
Yeah, I guess we can get on that topic of like, yeah, how reggae really seemed to take off in England first.
Yeah, it must be all the vacations they take to Jamaica.
I think they did have a lot more, maybe not more, but like proportionately more Jamaican immigrants for some reason. You know. Oh god, I hate the Rolling Stones. So the whole point of this episode is thank God for the Police, thank God for the English Beat, the Rolling Stones.
That was their one and only foray into reggae. Here's Winning Ugly. Hey, at least it's a cool title, I guess.
I like the synthesizer. It's very 80s.
Skip.
At least Mick Jagger's back to singing. I don't know who the hell was singing that right now. We've made it to side 2 of the album.
Oh my god, we're on side 2 of the album.
I got nothing left. This is horrible.
This is what he said when he listened to
This
the
is enjoyable, horrible.
When was Dancing in the Streets? Bowie and Jagger. Okay. So I think something during the shooting or creation of that broke them both. Because both the Stones and Bowie's career kind of took a hard dip after that.
That wasn't Mick Jagger singing. It was people.
Well, this song called Winning Ugly is terrible.
Cliff Richards.
This is terrible. This sounds like a car commercial.
I got nothing to say. I'm skipping this. Sorry.
This sounds vaguely like something else.
It's a steaming pile of horse. Here's Back to Zero.
Oh, it sounds like the soundtrack from. It sounds like the soundtrack from what was that Mel Gibson movie that came out at the same time?
Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
What's that one Sting song that I hate?
I don't think the Rolling Stones did a Sting song.
Listen to that funky guitar. I like it. Why wasn't this one of the singles?
It probably was in England.
Hey, I like that part.
Yeah, I like this one.
But again, this is making me think of Sting.
I feel like this song is better than the 2 singles that are supposedly the biggest hits.
Just show me a list of his stupid hits. Oh, the one that goes, I see you and me and everything we do and everything you've got in your life.
Oh yeah, let's do Sting.
Oh, We'll Be Together. It's hands down Sting's worst song that he ever did, but it was a hit. This sounds like that. It was like Sting from an alternate universe, in a shittier alternate universe, showed up and was like, "Hey, Rolling Stones want me to produce."
Hey, I came back from the 2000s. Let me do a song. No!
We should make these into little pizzas.
That's called salsa. Chris, you want to stop eating that.
Alright, I'm skipping again.
What's the next song?
Oh god, we're already 45 minutes in.
Chris is just going to eat nuts and chocolate all night.
Alright, some protein. It's fine.
And I'm getting my salt, tomato, and chocolate and nuts. It's a balanced diet. This is truly horrendous. And we still have like 5 songs to go. Here's the title track.
This might be a new record.
I like it.
I don't think I've checked out of an album faster than this.
No,
there was one.
You did not like Sammy Hagar last time.
there was one though I can't remember where it was like 3 songs and I'm like I can't do this.
It probably doesn't exist.
Oh, hey, we're back to the. Can someone look it up? Was the Uncle Dave Sr. on this? What's his name?
I don't know, but I can't look up Uncle Dave Sr.
Who's the other guitarist? The good one.
That I can work with.
Ron Wood.
Ron Wood. Small Faces. Wait, was he in the Small Faces?
Sure. He was in everything, just like all the other English guys. I love English bands.
Faces. And the Jeff Beck group.
So he was in the Faces, but not the Small Faces.
Oh, that's a caveat to throw in. He was in the Faces, but not the Small Faces.
That son of a bitch.
Quitter.
Ooh.
Wow,
I like any lyric that says,
Okay.
I'm beginning to hate you.
But can you listen to this album and kind of see where, well, actually, you probably haven't listened to Steel Wheels.
He's 5'9".
It's kind of like, this is the
72.
practice album for Steel Wheels. Steel Wheels is much better than that.
This might be the quintessential example of
Trying really hard sounds technically exciting, but there's no contrast at all.
I'm just going to take a wild stab and say there was no actual songwriting involved with any of this. They would just start a basic kind of groove, and they would improv over it. That's what this all sounds like. Next, here's Had It With You. Oh, perfect. Oh, it's the obligatory Mick Jagger finger-wagging song.
It's the strut song.
Yeah, the strut song. Like, She's So Cold, Start Me Up. The other one that sounds just like She's So Cold. Shattered.
You are not allowed to bail on this.
Where do you go?
Alright, this isn't half bad. It's like,
This sounds like the Stones.
yeah, it doesn't sound like they're in a hangar.
It doesn't sound like they're trying to be somebody else.
Whoever's in the left channel is still way too far out there, and it's only 3 minutes. God.
alright, there's one tolerable song in there.
3. Is this the last one?
Next is a Lion Sleep Tonight.
I think that's what I like about doing bad albums is I start to wonder, so what makes the good stuff good?
Okay, I did my job. I'll be back in a minute.
I'm just sitting here in daze like, what actually makes good music good then?
This one actually sounds like somebody, meant to do that. I don't know if it sounds like somebody exactly had a passion behind it, but there was an intent here
Okay, so
that was missing.
I think it's just there's a basic through line, like something you've drawn in, something grabs your attention, elements come in. I don't know. There's like a natural flow to a great song. These are just like, here's every fucking element right in your fucking face immediately, and there's nothing for your brain. There's no through line for your brain to naturally kind of like be opened up to. It's like, here's a wall, stare at it.
Hey, this is different.
This is like a
They should have put this at like the middle of the album or something.
At least break it up.
Here's a ballad called Sleep Tonight. I think that's Keith singing.
I can verify that.
It's kind of weird, like Keith Richards is a better ballad singer than Mick Jagger by far. The only time he ever really attempted it was the song Angie. It's a good song, but it's still kind of a train wreck in that Mick Jagger only has the strut mode. He can't, like, his voice can't really do an introspective ballad. Alright, everyone's abandoning this. Skipping it. It's a boring piece of shit ballad.
Yes, this is Keith Richards singing.
It's not saying a lot because, like, Mick Jagger's a good yeller. He has a great voice, but he can't like hold out a note and emote.
Right.
And I think Keith Richards.
I just never knew what the words were. I like Keith Richards I love listening to Keith Richards sing blues songs because he sings them with more emotion than Mick Jagger does. Like, I'm not saying he doesn't like him. It's just that Keith Richards sounds like he believes them.
He's not a better vocalist, but with certain types of songs,
his voice fits
Yeah, you
better.
gotta play to your strength, right?
I love Talk Is Cheap. It was one of my favorite albums. Is it great? I don't know. I don't give a shit.
Okay, so I was gonna give this like a
Keith
2.
Richards sings songs and plays the guitar. I don't care.
I was gonna give this like a 2. I'll give it like a 3 because the last 2 or 3 songs have at least sort of
They gave you something.
kind of got my attention, and I just flatlined.
They gave you something.
This is kind of weird. This is the first one album we've done where the two best songs are at the end of the album. That's unusual. Maybe they thought they sucked because they weren't just.
Or they hold up better.
This song, where'd it go?
Sometimes time tells you what's a better song.
Taking away the moments.
Keith Richards wrote this song on piano in the Paris recording studio. Ronnie Wood liked it, and they recorded it together without anybody else around. And then everything else was recorded after.
This reminds me of the movie where the one of the guys who murders another person is one of the producers in Voodoo Lounge. Like when they make the album Voodoo Lounge, and he just keeps going, "This is the greatest Rolling Stones album." That was funny.
That was a good anecdote.
No, wait. Melanie Griffith's daughter is in it.
Antonio
Before she got
Banderas.
famous.
Excuse me, Antonio Banderas.
Yeah.
Nice. Anyway,
What is that girl's name? It's
Rachel
not
McAdams.
Melanie Griffith.
Rachel McAdams.
No, the naked one.
Melanie Griffith.
No, the naked one.
Antonio Banderas.
The other
John
naked one.
Selma Hayek. Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Her last name is
Shakira.
John.
Because she's got a Jones.
I was gonna give this a super low rating, but it kind of got okay towards the end. Nobody likes this Rolling Stones. Well, I'm sure there's somebody likes anything. Like Bill,
Yeah, there's always somebody that'll argue with you ad nauseum.
like Bill Murray says in Groundhog Day. People are morons. People like blood sausage. So
Right, like
whatever.
that.
Whatever. This, I think they quickly went out of their prime after
Nope.
82.
Nope. I think
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
them figuring out Steel Wheels, and Steel Wheels is a great
Steel
fucking
Wheels
album.
good? Okay. Fine.
That's my thing.
Fine.
That's my thing.
On a future episode, talking about
This is a
albums.
horrible dead spot.
This is a real miss. Where the
How many
Rolling
songs?
Stones where the Rolling Stones weren't used to misses, they didn't have to do that.
There's
Those
a
are
piano
hidden tracks.
instrumental. So what do you have a better sense of context of their career, so what do you think, provide us with some context, 'cause I'm just viewing it as a hard drop off the cliff after.
I
Emotional
really
Rescue.
think this is their throw together album. I really feel like this fulfilled some legal obligation. I would not be surprised.
sorry.
I don't know. I haven't looked it up or anything, but
Well, that's over. I gave it.
well, I was talking.
I wouldn't
I give
tattoo.
it 3 pieces.
I would never tattoo that on you.
All right.
Well, maybe you, but not me. So maybe I
I'll
would.
give it like 5 out of 10 seashells.
I don't know. I'm feeling better about it now that it's over. I give it like.
Now you hated it in the middle.
Right.
You gotta take a couple of points
I'll
off.
give it 3, maybe 4 good songs out of 10.
My complete median standard is Poison. Whatever that album was.
I
so
feel like the
that was
middle was literally the definition of filler. Like just things you did to diddle around in the studio.
Nothingbutfiller.com.
Throw it out there and see what happens.
Thanks, folks. Next episode, probably be the Yacht Rock.
We're doing the Who! Tommy!
It'll probably be Kenny Loggins. Keep it quiet.
Nope, we're doing Tommy.
And goodbye.
Bye, Nancy.